Good evening and welcome to the City College Apprenticeships Live information event. This evening will consist of our colleague Dave from the Apprenticeship Hub team, who will give a short presentation about apprenticeships and how best to find them. And that will be followed by a live Q&A from a couple of our apprentices that are joining us this evening. If you have any questions throughout tonight, please put them in the chat facility and we'll answer as many of them as we can at the end. I'd now like to introduce Dave to start the presentation.
And part of this presentation is to explain how apprenticeships work and what they are all about. All the vacancies at City College are vetted for career prospects and for health and safety reasons. It's a great way to gain a nationally recognised qualification, and generally apprenticeships tend to be 1 to 4 years to complete. Certainly if you're going for an electronic or an engineering apprenticeship, you'll be looking at 3 to 4 years before completing it. There are over 1,500 job roles covering pretty much every sort of career for apprenticeships. And if you wanted a list of apprenticeships that City College Southampton cover, please go onto our website. And these range from business admin and hairdressing all the way through to motor, bricklaying and engineering. They are open to a variety of abilities, but I'll cover this a bit later in the presentation. So why an apprenticeship? Well, first of all, you will earn a salary. The salary range varies for each industry and obviously depends on your age and the employer. There is a minimum apprenticeship wage though. Apprentices are paid to attend college so they earn while they learn. You have to think long term with an apprenticeship as you are building a career for life with the skills and knowledges you develop. 87% of City College apprentices had received a wage increase after their apprenticeship had finished. The cost of the training is covered by the government and/or the employer, so the apprentice doesn't pay anything towards their qualifications. You will learn job-specific skills. You are at work 80% of the time, meaning you get to learn new skills. All of our apprentices have a nominated workplace mentor to help enhance their experience at work and ensure that you have a good training plan whilst at work that meets the range of the qualifications. The qualifications are updated regularly to make sure that they are current and meet with the industry needs of the employer. You will also achieve valuable qualifications. All the qualifications delivered for apprenticeships are nationally recognised qualifications, and they are yours to keep. You can take these qualifications away with you if you were to leave the employer. You have the ability to progress your career. After their apprenticeship, 41% of our apprentices had been given a promotion. Employers like apprenticeships as a way of training and for further progression for their employees. You will also complete further training in addition to your apprenticeship qualifications related to that industry. You will receive top quality training. Apprenticeships are a valuable way of learning. Over 95% of our apprentices recommended apprenticeships as a way of learning. You would receive regular visits from an industry trained assessor who will assist you along your journey to help develop your skills and knowledge. The entry requirements for a level 2 apprenticeship, you need to have English and Maths GCSE at grade 3 or in the old money, grade D or above. If you have this, you will be invited in for an initial assessment. You will need to score a certain level on your initial assessment to be put forward for the apprenticeship. If you have a grade that is below a 4 or a C in English and Maths, you will study those subjects alongside your apprenticeship so that you can achieve pass grades before you can complete. For a level 3 apprenticeship, you need to have English and Maths GCSE at grade 4 or C or above. Level 2 in functional skills or key skills will also be accepted. Experience in the subject area will benefit the applicant. Some apprenticeships do require additional qualifications on entry, for example, science or technology or ICT. So why City College? Well, we have a dedicated apprenticeship team You will have support from your initial inquiry to matching you to a suitable vacancy and to the successful completion of your apprenticeship, with assistance from our Apprenticeship Hub department and industry-trained tutors and assessors. We have fantastic training facilities that are industry standard. For example, modern hair salons, purpose-built workshops for construction and engineering, extensive motor vehicle workshop, and a specialist marine skills centre over in Woolston. The next steps. Apprenticeships are jobs, so you apply in the same way as you would for any job. Think about the area you would like to work in and whether an apprenticeship is the right option for you, as you could be investing up to 4 years in an apprenticeship, so check it's the right role and sector for you. Research the industry, research companies and the job roles, and also vitally important is the locations that they are in. Update your CV. Be prepared for an interview. You will be up against many others for the same position. Think, why would the company offer you the job, and think about how you will get to the employer every day if you are successful. How do you find an apprenticeship? Get out there and be proactive. Don't be complacent and leave it till the last minute, i.e. leaving it till September. It can sometimes be far too late. There are many more candidates than vacancies available. We have a team at the college whose role it is to find vacancies with employers for apprentices, and these are only advertised on the City College website. So keep an eye on our website at all times. School leavers. We always encourage them to apply for a full-time place at college as a backup plan, or as we refer to it, as a safety net. Most employers prefer to recruit apprenticeship applicants that have some relevant skills, knowledge, and work experience. Therefore, more likely to be successful as a progression after 1 or 2 years at college. Here at City College, we automatically invite any young people interested in an apprenticeship to attend an interview for an equivalent full-time study programme course, so they have a strong backup option should they not find an employer by the end of the summer. We work closely with our students to best prepare them for work. We put forward what we call apprentice-ready students as candidates for relevant roles directly with employers we know have vacancies. Due to our close employer partnerships, some of our students even get headhunted. So what next? I've listed 2 links to help you in your search for the right apprenticeship for you, but you can also try company websites as well as walking around industrial estates where you live. Also trying sites like Trustpilot, MyBuilder and Checkertrade can sometimes prove fruitful. We're now open to your questions.
Thank you, Dave. We got through that a lot quicker than I thought we would. Would you be able to leave it on the questions slide, please, Dave, just so that people can see the apprenticeships email? Lovely. Okay. Right. Okay. As Dave said, we're now open for questions. So we've had a few come in already. But before I start to go through and get those answered, if you do have a question, please use the chat facility and we'll do our best to get them answered. If you do have something very specific just about yourself, we may not be able to answer that tonight, but please use the email address you can see on screen, apprenticeships@southampton-city.ac.uk. That is our apprenticeship team, and they'll be able to answer any questions at any time. So please use that email for anything very specific to yourself. So I'm going to introduce now, we've got a couple of our apprentices with us tonight. We've got Jess and Matt. So I'm just going to ask them to go through and introduce themselves. So over to you, Jess.
Hi, my name's Jess. I work at a mechanical and electrical engineering company. I'm a secretary there. I've been there for about 5 years, and I'm currently doing an apprenticeship in business administration.
Thank you, Jess. And Matt?
Hi there, my name is Matthew Hatfield, and I'm a fourth-year pipe fitter apprentice in the construction industry.
There we go. So thank you very much. That's Jess and Matt with us tonight. So they're going to help answer some of your questions. So the first question that's come through, which I'm going to ask both of them to answer, as Matt's on my screen at the moment, I'm going to ask him first. But what is the best thing about being an apprentice, Matt?
I would say number one, it's a freedom to get to learn the job you're doing in both a academic setting as well as a hands-on experience. Having a great amount of people around you with the knowledge that you're seeking to gain, and excellent instruction from people that have been doing the jobs for probably the majority of their lives, as well as a decent academic backbone and support structure offered by the college.
Thank you, Matt. And from you, Jess?
Yeah, look, Matt pretty much summed it up. It's having that backbone and having that support from your mentor at work and also your assessor at college. And I think as well, being able to combine the two, going to college and learning about all these things within your profession, and actually being able to match that with what you're doing now in your everyday job.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Jess. So that's a little bit of insight then as to what they think is the best thing about being an apprentice. So the next question, it's a bit of a double question really. I'll ask you, Jess, first. How much time do you spend either at work or at college, and how much extra study is required above doing your job?
So I spend 4 days at work, and I get from my work, I get a day release. And that is where I'll do all of my assignments, I'll do all of my revision, and also I'll attend lessons as well there. Me personally, I keep to that day. I don't do a hell of a lot outside of work and things like that. I just keep to that day release, and that's plenty for me. And you, Matt, have you got a different scenario?
No, I'm in pretty much the same situation. I also get a day release at college from my work. I work about 46 hours a week on a building site, with around 8 of those being in college per week. And yeah, no, I've never had to take anything home with me. The employers are very sort of helpful in trying to make sure you're given enough time to do everything that you need to do.
Lovely, thank you for that. Someone's just asked, and I'm going to have to ask this one to Dave really, is there an age limit for being an apprentice?
No, there isn't. What we're tending to find, Karina, is the age bracket is now going into the higher 20s and 30s even, but no, there isn't an age bracket. People are looking for the more mature candidates at times that are a bit more worldly wise.
Okay, so basically open to anyone, I'm assuming, but over the age of 16.
Yes, sorry, yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fair enough. I was going to say, because I mean, both Jess and Matt, I mean, I'm not going to ask your ages at all, but I mean, I believe you are not sort of a 16, 17-year-old straight from school.
No,
so,
I was 25 when I started, so
okay.
quite late on.
Okay.
And I was 26.
Brilliant. Okay, so I think that helps sum up the fact of a lot of people do start apprenticeships at an age a little bit older than sort of straight from school or college, which leads nicely into actually someone has asked, can we revisit the slide? I think it's the school leaver slide, Dave, where we're mentioning about 1 to 2 years at college, and what does that mean? So I don't know if you want to go sort of zoom back to the school leaver slide and just quickly sort of reinforce the message about 1 or 2 years at college. That's the one. Thank you.
You've got the one. I'm sorry, what was the question, Karina?
So the question was, what do you mean by 1 or 2 years at college, increasing your chances? So
what we tend to find is employers now would like somebody who has got a little bit of experience. So if a student comes to the college and embarks on a full-time course for either 1 or 2 years, for instance, in the carpentry, the construction trades, they pick up some of the hand skills that are already required, so that when they go out on site or they're working with their employer, they've already got a good understanding of the industry. And they know how to safely use those tools, and then they can enhance the skills within the apprenticeship itself. So employers tend to like somebody who's got 1 or 2 years experience, and going on the full-time course, as I said, which is the safety net at times, does give them that slight edge, because they do have some of the necessary skills already.
Thank you, Dave. Hopefully that's answered your question on that one. Somebody's asked, can you do an apprenticeship if you already have a degree? So, Dave, is that something you could answer?
Yes, a very good question. A very good question. Yes, you can, on the condition that the degree that you've got isn't similar to the apprenticeship that you're doing. So if you had a degree in accounting, for instance, and then you decided to change your career and go in as an apprentice hairdresser, you can, because the two vocations are drastically different. So yes, you can, and it is funded, and there isn't a conflict. What you can't do is have the degree qualification in accounting and then take an apprenticeship in accounting. It's got to be two quite separate industries.
Thank you, Dave. Jess and Matt, when would you recommend the best time to start looking for an apprenticeship? Jess?
So I started looking personally around June, July time. But I do know they do start looking they do like you to look in February and start then.
Thank you, Jess. Matt, have you got anything to add from your experience?
Once again, sadly, I was in the same boat again, where I started looking around August time. But if I'd known that it was going to be easier to look in February when I began looking, I would have certainly looked earlier if it would have given me a better edge.
Brilliant.
If I could just interject at this stage, Karina, we're already getting inquiries from employers, even though it's only like the first or second week of February. What I would say to all candidates that are thinking of taking an apprenticeship, now is the time to start looking. The competition is fierce out there, and we are getting inquiries from employers, because what they're trying to do is get the best candidates possible. But for candidates who apply now, it also gives them the extra time for us as a college and for themselves to look for the apprenticeship, rather than leaving it to the last minute of September, for instance, when most of the best apprenticeships have already gone.
Good advice there, Dave. Thank you. And yes, you are right. I believe we are trying to recruit at the moment for a few apprenticeship vacancies, particularly I think it's business admin. I think we've got a few for, haven't we?
That's right.
So, some people have asked, are we planning to hold any open events, and are they able to come and view the Marine Skills Centre? I can answer that. We do have a very large open event planned for Saturday the 18th of June. I know that sounds a very long time away, but that is where the whole college will be open, so everything will be visible to view then. However, with the Marine Skills Centre, as it is a specialist centre offering both boat building, marine electrical and marine engineering, I'm pretty sure that if you did want to come and have a sort of a bespoke tour, then that is something that we would possibly be able to arrange. So what I would advise you to do if you wanted to see our Marine Skills Centre is to just pop an email to us, either through the apprenticeships email or our inquiries email, which you can find on our website easily. But as I say, the main big open event, the next one planned is, which is a big event, the whole college open, will be in June on Saturday the 18th. So that is hot off the press, actually. Right, someone's just asked, do we have to find an employer? So I'm going to hand that one over to you, Dave. I think we know the answer to that one.
Yes, to do an apprenticeship, you do need an employer, and we can assist you with this. We have a specialist team, recruitment team, whose job it is to go out into what we call the field and discuss with employers their requirements. But you do need an employer. So we encourage you to look for yourselves. within, you know, as I said before, within the local industrial estates that are near you. But also, if you register for the full-time course and at that interview state that you are also looking for an apprenticeship, it will be passed on to the specialist team, and they will keep the notes of the details, and any vacancies that they find out there, they would certainly put you forward for.
Thank you, Dave. So I think the advice there for finding an employer is obviously do your research, as we said, and go out there and, you know, do your applications. At the end of the day, an apprenticeship is a job. So you could go through job sites and find vacancies there, but certainly check our website, the City College website, and the government's Find an Apprenticeship website, and that should help you find vacancies. There's some sort of very individual ones coming in at the moment. I'm not sure we're able to answer all of them. I'm just going to read this one out, Dave, whether you can answer this. For a hairdressing apprenticeship, what is the best age to apply? And would it reduce someone's chances if they complete A-levels first?
The best age to apply really for a hairdressing apprenticeship is the best way in, through my experience of it, is through work experience. They want to, it's not just about the skills of doing the actual hairdressing itself, it's sometimes having the customer skills as well, and being able to react with it and integrate within a close-knit team. So a very good way of getting into hairdressing is to get a Saturday job, or, you know, a part-time job within the hairdressing facility. As for taking A-levels, that would be down to the individual choice. You know, if you decided to do A-levels, I personally think that's a good option, but to really get into hairdressing, you should be really looking at work experience as a way of going in, because they want to see you react within teams, integrate within teams, and whether you can do that high levels of customer care and customer service.
And I think one of the additional things about hairdressing in particular is obviously we do offer both full-time and part-time courses in that. So that, again, that's a good place to start. And obviously our full-time courses do have mandatory work experience alongside that. So that is a great inlet into getting an apprenticeship. In fact, many of our students that are doing work experience then progress into an apprenticeship or full-time employment with that employer. So you know, if you are under the age of 18, then we would certainly encourage you to apply for full-time courses. Someone's just asked about the best age to apply for welding or construction. I'm assuming, is that a similar answer to what you said about hairdressing? I don't think we want to be answering about every individual sector, but is there anything different for welding and construction area?
The only things you've got to be very careful about on the welding and construction is the insurance purposes. They're not going to allow you out on site because they need CSCS cards. So again, you know, if you're 16, yes, apply. You know, contact some of the local companies who, you know, build extensions. But again, a good way in and how they want to see it, because it is a tough environment. That it is early starts and you're out in all weathers. Again, and they would want to see the work experience pulled through, that you are capable of getting out of bed in the morning and being there for, say, you know, 7:30 pickup or 7:15 pickup, and doing a full day's work for them. It is a tough but very, very rewarding career, that though.
Okay, someone's just chased me up to answer a question I think they answered quite a while back, but so many questions are coming in thick and fast. I'm sorry, I can't get through them all very, very quickly. So I've just been scrolling back to try and find that one. So apologies to somebody that I'm about to ask a question now. So anything, any information about, do we offer either health and social care or childcare apprenticeships? Today?
No, sorry, no, we don't. We don't offer those apprenticeships.
Do we have any advice as to where they can get? I mean, my suggestion would be obviously look for the vacancies and through the National Apprenticeship website.
If you go onto the National Apprenticeship site, you can set up an account with them, and it takes literally about 5 minutes. You give it a username and a password, and if you keyed in those industries there, it would come up with all the colleges and employers who offer those apprenticeships. But unfortunately, we don't anymore, I'm afraid.
Thank you, Dave. I'm just going to read this one out because I'm going a bit blind here. I have twin boys who are both looking into getting an apprenticeship. Knows best looking for one in February, but would that be the year they would be leaving? So in my boy's case, 2023, or would that be now for next year? So obviously, I mean, the majority of, I'm going to answer this one. The majority of apprenticeships would be starting in a September. So if they're currently in year 11, then now would be the time to start looking and applying for apprenticeships. Or if they're in year 12 or above. If they are currently in year 10, then obviously wait until next year. But someone else was asking about for year 10, should they be looking at open events this year? Yes, I would strongly encourage anyone with a child in year 10, now is the time to start looking at colleges. So a lot of colleges would be having open events in the summer. So as I said, we've got one on the 18th of June, which is a Saturday. And then again in the autumn through October, November, again, all the colleges have open events, and that's where you can find out information, not only about the full-time courses, but about apprenticeships that are available and all the advice. And Dave is usually at these events for us. So we'll be able to answer any sort of specific questions for you.
On that note, Karina, I would encourage a year 10 to attend the career events, because they get the opportunity to speak to the assessors and the tutors at the college, and it'll give them a greater insight into that particular industry that they might have been otherwise unaware of. So I would encourage all year 10s to attend the event.
Lovely, thank you. I've got a feeling I might have answered everyone. Apologies if I haven't answered. I realise obviously now it's just reaching 6 o'clock, so we wanted to get to start wrapping up. I suppose really is that, just got a couple more coming in. Someone just said or year 13. So again, yeah, I mean anything from the age of years 10 upwards. So when I say year 10, that's obviously those that are sort of age 14 to start looking at colleges. But yeah, certainly those from year 13, so sort of college age, perfect time to be looking and applying for apprenticeships. Someone's just asked, if a 45-year-old male looking for a career change, what chance do I have of being accepted for an apprenticeship? So Dave, do we get many people sort of in their 40s applying for apprenticeships?
Generally, the ones that we get applying at the age of 40 have already got an employer, to be quite honest, and they're looking for a career change. They prove to the employer that they are reliable, and they want a career change within the company. That's what my experience of it is. It'd be rare that we would get a 40-year-old who just applied to us looking for an apprenticeship. It's generally, it's not unheard of, but it's generally from employers who is in one job role, he's proved his worth to the company, and he's willing to move to another sector of that company, and then they'll take him as an apprentice.
Yeah, again, I think it comes down to the employer as to, you know, what sort of person that they're looking for. So there isn't an upper age limit, but I know obviously you do need to appreciate that an apprenticeship wage may not be the salary that someone in their 40s would be expecting to receive. So
that's exactly right. See, somebody in the 40s, they might have, you know, a wife and kids, and to go to an apprentice, the employer is going to lose them for at least one day a week. So unfortunately, it would be reflected in the salaries. So you've just got to look at your personal circumstances at that age to see whether an apprenticeship is for you.
Okay. Someone's asking about for the college application, should they put in their mock results or predicted grades? So again, I mean, as with all applications, it's really what you realistically think you're likely to be achieving. I mean, obviously, when it comes to actually having your results, we would need to see evidence of those results to be able to confirm whether or not you can then enroll onto that particular level of course or that particular level of apprenticeship. So again, I think I'm right in saying, Dave, that an employer, if they're trying to recruit someone with certain GCSE results in English and maths, unless you've got the evidence of that, it would be hard to process that. So when applying and putting in the information, put in the grades that you realistically expect to be achieving. There's no point trying to fudge and put in results that is much higher than you're expecting in order to try and get through to shortlisting, because as soon as we get to the evidence stage, you would be knocked out. So yeah, just be realistic in your putting your grades in. I'm just going to do the last question because I realised the time. If a student has a general interest in business rather than a specific job, such as an accountant, carpenter, etc., it seems trickier to find an apprenticeship that covers that general area. Dave, is business admin not something that would be relevant for that?
A business admin position that we offer, which is a level 3, isn't really a financial role. It can be accountants, but it can also be at numerous other companies where a business admin person is required. It's not necessarily about a financial position as such. It's not a business admin administrative. It's where they have to do a project. For instance, if you're a receptionist at a doctor's surgery, or various other companies that offer general business administration vacancies, it's not business as such. It's not a financial role as such, so they won't teach you accounting within that role.
Okay, thank you. I think the best advice really is obviously to have a look at the vacancies, and it's probably looking at what job interests you more than what the actual apprenticeship would be teaching you, because at the end of the day, it's about a job that you want to be in and that you're investing your time in.
Again, all the vacancies that we put on the college website and on the National Apprenticeship website all have a job description on them, so you'd know what you are exactly applying for.
Very quick one that's just come in. This is going to be the very last question I'm going to answer, and then I'm going to move on. Can you change apprenticeship part way through? Example, from carpentry to electrical?
Yes, you can. However, it's very rare that we do that, because as we said at the beginning, it's to make sure that you are in the right sector as such. Certainly it would cost you a lot of time, because once an apprenticeship has started, after a first few weeks, after that period, if you went to another apprenticeship, the other apprenticeships have already started and you wouldn't be able to play catch up with it. So you would have to wait till the following September before starting that other apprenticeship, if you could find another employer. But we like it where people do make the right choice, and we have a team here that discusses the options with them to make sure that they are making the right decisions and going into the industry that they want to, rather than what other people might want them to go into. It's one where they've got that definite interest, that definite passion, and that definite enthusiasm for the industry that they're going into.
Lovely, thanks, Dave. I just want to finish with obviously the lovely apprentices that have joined us this evening. I just would like to ask Jess and Matt, do they have any sort of top tips for sort of finding an apprenticeship that we can sort of finish with? Thank you. To Jess, please.
I think my top tip would be, first of all, know what you want to go into and what interests you. And my next one would probably be the website. The City College website's really good for finding information about apprenticeships.
Thank you, Jess. And Matt, any advice, top tips?
I would say when you're going in for it, just make sure to treat it as if you would treat looking for an actual job. Being smart, being punctual, trying your best to really sell yourself is going to help you find the employer that you're looking for at the end of the day. And that's just absolutely invaluable in all the way through your life, not just in this. So it's an excellent skill to practice, especially now.
I think that's a lovely answer to finish on, Matt. Thank you for that. I think that just reinforces the fact that an apprenticeship is a job. So yes, you are applying for a job and an actual job vacancy, and you go through that interview process. So thank you for that, Matt, and thank you very much, Jess, for your input as well. Apologies if there's any questions we haven't been able to answer tonight, or if you think of anything later, please do email the email address on the screen, apprenticeships@southampton-city.ac.uk, and the team will get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you, Dave, Jess and Matt, for all your input tonight. Hope it's been an informative session for everybody here this evening. So I'd like to wish you all the very, very best, and good night.